We absolutely have to be mindful of how much testing we're doing. And the bulk of our time should be teaching, but you have to know where a child is, individual child, an N of one, in order to provide the key interventions. So I think we have to keep our eye on that for sure.
Education in America is at a crossroads. The debate over how we evaluate teachers, measure student growth, and address the needs of struggling learners is more heated than ever. Standardized tests, teacher accountability, and the role of socioeconomic factors have created a complex challenge for schools nationwide. Today, we're breaking down the critical issues shaping the future of American education.
Thank you all. Dr. Hanishek and Dr. Murray, you've both spoken of teacher evaluation as if you've got to reward people. Now, frankly, teachers' unions have been always very nervous about it. Dr. Jenner said you can't boil the ocean. You two have stressed that you need to have, I guess, leaders within the classroom who then go and mentor others. How did you evaluate those teachers, and how did you overcome the opposition from traditional teachers' organizations?
For me, it's doing things with, not to. And so as we started to have these conversations at the local level, even the state level, it is to work with teachers, work with those individuals that are impacted, and allow them.
Very good, but you got to tell you something. I'm going to pay you more if you do better. What was the metric by which you judge somebody doing better?
Student academic growth was the primary.
So was that an N of one, or was that a classroom?
It was overall, no, it wasn't an N of one. It was the overall performance of the students that were served by the teacher.
Now, if you've got children who are economically and educationally disadvantaged coming in, I would say students with a high percentage of dyslexia.
Sure.
You've got students who are difficult to educate.
Absolutely.
Now, if you compare those to upper income kids, we saw from the graph, the upper income kids have been doing well no matter what. It's these kids who have been struggling.
Yep.
So how did you differentiate between the growth in academic performance among those who are at the bottom of the SEC, if you will, social economic class, not Southeastern Conference, versus those who are at the top? Yeah. How did you judge the difference there?
So we, again, look at growth and not proficiency. Many times those students that are performing at the highest level may not be growing, they're just performing. And so we look at pure academic growth. And that happens at every level. A quality teacher grows children.
So let me ask,
Yes.
Dr. West, you spoke about the need for accountability. Now, if you take a dyslexic student, 20% of our kids are dyslexic, when you give them a standardized test, you're measuring their weakness, which is an ability to read very dense material, and yet they struggle to do that. We know if you give them extra time, they can compensate. But nonetheless, that's assuming that they've had the adequate training of how to deal with their dyslexia. So tell me, how are we going to do it? It seems to me we need testing of N of one, the one student's growth, as opposed to put that student within a mean. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I think as we try to restore an emphasis on accountability in American education, we have to learn from the lessons of the past. And one of the lessons of the past was that No Child Left Behind was defined very much around the concept of proficiency. The level at which students were performing at a single point of time rather than their growth over time. And growth is a much better indicator of what.
But it still seems like you need an N of one and then aggregate the N's of one,
That's right.
not take the mean of the classroom.
That's right. It's an aggregation of N's of one or change over time for a particular student, usually from one school year to the next.
Now, do we have that ability to do that? Because I don't have a sense, maybe AI, I'm a little bit of a techno-optimist. I think Dr. Winthrop may.
No, we can do that quite well, and we have nice evidence validating that that is a reliable gauge of an educator's contribution to at least the knowledge and skills that are measured by the test. Now, that's not everything, as has been pointed out, but it's an important component of what teachers are contributing.
If I could just add quickly, I've been a proponent of more test-based accountability for schools and for teachers. But if you look at, for example, Washington, D.C., that has been very successful at evaluating and paying and retaining teachers and getting higher achievement growth, only 20 or 25% of the teachers are evaluated on test scores. The remainder are evaluated by having trained evaluators come in and use a rubric to measure how well the teachers are doing, and that is adjusting for growth, but on an individual basis of a trained evaluator. So they recognize the dyslexic student in the class and see how well the teacher is doing with all of those students. So it's not just on a test-based, you have to hit some mark, but it's on the overall evaluation of the teacher.
And going to that, Dr. West, my sense of, and I'm almost out of time, but the standardized testing, the teachers end up teaching to the test. And at some point when you have the test, it's kind of vacation time. And so it does seem like the standardized testing and some anecdotal evidence is thwarting traditional education, which would be all the way to the end of the year, et cetera. Dr. Jenner, any comments on that?
I think we absolutely have to be mindful of how much testing we're doing. And the bulk of our time should be teaching, but you have to know where a child is, individual child, an N of one, in order to provide the key interventions. So I think we have to keep our eye on that for sure.
For decades, the question of how to evaluate teachers has divided educators, unions, and policymakers. Should teacher pay and recognition be tied directly to student performance? Critics argue this oversimplifies the role of teachers, while supporters believe rewarding results drives better outcomes. At the heart of the debate is whether accountability can coexist with fairness. One of the biggest shifts in education policy has been moving from proficiency-based assessments to growth-based evaluations. Instead of focusing on whether students hit a specific benchmark, growth models measure how much progress they make over time. This change is especially important for disadvantaged students who often start at lower levels but can make tremendous gains under strong teachers. Standardized testing often penalizes students with learning differences like dyslexia. Traditional assessments measure weaknesses rather than growth potential. Research suggests that when given proper support and more time, these students can thrive. The real question: how do we create accountability systems that recognize the unique challenges of every student while still holding schools responsible for results? Washington, D.C. offers a powerful example of balancing accountability. Only about a quarter of teachers are judged by test scores. The majority are evaluated through classroom observations by trained professionals who use detailed rubrics. This method ensures that teachers are recognized not just for test results, but for how effectively they engage and support their students. Back in index pointing right, if you believe education deserves this kind of deeper conversation, take a second right now to hit that subscribe button. Join a community that digs into the issues shaping our schools, our teachers, and our future. Another pressing issue is the sheer volume of standardized testing. Too often, testing becomes the focus rather than a tool. When students and teachers alike view the test as the end goal, genuine learning suffers. Experts agree, assessments must guide interventions, not dominate classroom time. Striking the right balance between accountability and meaningful instruction is the ultimate challenge. The future of education won't be decided by a single policy or test. It will be shaped by how we value teachers, how we measure growth, and how we respond to the diverse needs of every student. Proficiency alone isn't enough. Growth, fairness, and innovation must drive the next chapter in American classrooms.